The girl had a heavy concrete paving slab tied to her torso, which kept her submerged under about 4.5 feet of water, stuck in an old fishing net. The fisherman gave up trying to get her loose with his oar and called the police, who showed up along with an ambulance. The Falk rescue squad just finished recovering the body. Louisa watched the search and rescue van's trailer for the rubber raft that they had used to recover the girl. One diver had gone into the water to cut her free, then passed her off to the other diver, who had hoisted her up into the raft. Now they were loading the rescue raft back onto the trailer. Louisa walked all the way over to the edge of the bluff and saw the white sheet covering the dead girl's body and the crime scene technicians in their coveralls busy combing the shore for evidence. The local police have cordoned off the site, and as you can see, the CSI techs are already at work, Storm continued. But we're still waiting for a couple more cars. When they reached the others, he introduced each of them in turn. That's Bengston. He's been with Holbaek's major crime squad since before anyone can remember, he said, with obvious respect. He knows everything worth knowing about Holbaek and the people who live here. Bengston nodded at her, but kept his hands in the pockets of his tweed trousers. Storm stepped over to a man with an olive complexion. Dean Vukic, he said. The man shook hands with Louisa. There was something hyper-correct about his well-dressed style, the shirt and tie under his leather jacket making him look more like a banker than a detective. Another man offered his hand to Louisa. Mick Rasmussen, he said. Like Vukic and Louisa herself, Mick was in his mid to late 30s. Louise Rick, she replied. Out of habit, she almost added Department A, but caught herself. Instead, she quickly took in the new faces. It was quite a small group, and she wondered how she would fare at finding her place in this pack. After the briefing that morning back at Copenhagen Police Headquarters with Department A, her homicide investigation unit, Captain Hans Sue had opened the door to the office that Louisa shared with her partner, Lars Jørgensen. Louisa had just set her tea mug on her desk and was asking her partner about his adopted twins, who were homesick with the flu, when Sue interrupted to tell her that her former partner, Søren Velin, was on his way to pick her up. Starting today, you've been temporarily reassigned to the Unit 1 Mobile Task Force with the National Police, he said, already on his way back out the door. Louisa quickly jumped to her feet and stopped him in the hall, wanting to know why she was being reassigned. Sue's response was curt and clear, because she was deeply familiar with cases like this one. Then he hurried off. Louisa went back to her office and took a sip of her tea, shaking her head in response to her partner's raised eyebrows to indicate that Sue hadn't given her anything to go on. Rape, I'm assuming, she said on her way out the door with her bag over her shoulder, telling Lars she hoped his twins felt better soon. It was only later, when she was sitting in the car next to Søren Velin and heading out towards Cape Tuze. More specifically, a nature preserve out there with the unusual name of Hunze Hielsen, the chicken neck, that she realized she had misunderstood her boss. I have no idea whether rape was involved, her former partner told her. But it looks like the girl is from an immigrant background, and my understanding is that that's why Storm really wanted you on this case. Louisa sighed. She had just wrapped up a case like this, and she was still having such a difficult time letting go of it that she was considering seeing one of the police psychologists at the counselling services unit to avoid any permanent trauma. As a young officer, she had always struggled whenever she was confronted with people's personal tragedies, and she had worked hard to learn how to handle this. Even so, she still sometimes found herself succumbing again. That's what had happened with her last case, an attempted honour killing. It had ended with a charge of aggravated assault, but Louisa and the rest of her investigative team had absolutely no doubt that certain members of that family had actually intended to kill the 16-year-old girl, but had botched the job. Now their eldest daughter was a vegetable in the neurology department of Rigshospitalet, the national hospital in downtown Copenhagen. She was floating on her stomach, Storm explained, pointing to a spot on their right not far out into the Sound.